Good morning from Moscow. It's Tuesday, the 25th of August. In a moment, Russia's reaction to Andy Burnham handing long-range missile blueprints to Ukraine, and why Russians are taking lots of cash out of the banks. First, Ukraine continues to attack Russian oil refineries and distribution centres of e-commerce giants like Wildberries. Now, warehouses of Russia's second biggest online retailer, Ozon, are being hit by drones. At one point yesterday, Ozon shares dropped by 29.09% on the Moscow exchange. RBK reports that strikes on Ozon warehouses collapsed its share price and shook the stock market in general. So what will the Kremlin do to try to protect critical infrastructure and other economically important facilities? Well, yesterday, President Putin signed a decree which, as Izvestia explains, allows the authorities to place critical infrastructure under temporary management if owners fail to protect them from drone attacks. In other words, if the oil refinery you own has been hit by drones, that may be considered your fault because you didn't protect it or you didn't repair it in time. Komsomolskaya Pravda explains that an unscrupulous businessman will lose temporary control of their business. One, if the company is not effectively protecting the facility from the drone threat. 2, if it violates safety requirements. 3, if it fails to get the facility operating again on time. And 4, if the actions of the owner threaten the operations of the critically important enterprise. Nezavisima Gazeta writes that this applies to fuel and energy facilities, industrial facilities, communications, utilities, transport, logistics infrastructure, including transport and logistics complexes, energy facilities, including nuclear, as well as other facilities of particular importance for ensuring the security, economic stability of Russia and the life of the population. Kommersant's headline: "The best protection is state administration." But a lawyer tells the paper it remains unclear what exactly could serve as the basis for implementing this. The fact that a company was hit by a drone doesn't mean that the owner of the facility violated safety rules. What's more, the text of the decree does not specify whether a violation of safety rules at one facility is a basis for carrying out the procedure at other facilities owned by the same company. Staying with Kommersant, the paper reports that in the second quarter, the population withdrew more cash rubles from their accounts than they deposited. The Bank of Russia attributes the increase in demand for cash primarily to interruptions in mobile internet services and people wanting to have cash reserves in case of problems with non-cash payments. Among other possible reasons, tax changes, seasonal expenses, a decrease in the attractiveness of deposits as bank rates decrease, and the general rise in uncertainty. The government paper Rossiyskaya Gazeta features the Kremlin's reaction to the UK government handing Kiev blueprints for British-made components for the Scalp missile. Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov is quoted as saying, "Britain is participating in this war on the side of the Kiev regime, methodically and regularly adding oil to the fire." Keep in mind it was Russia that launched the full-scale invasion of Ukraine 4.5 years ago. Moskovsky Komsomolets writes that after his trip to Kiev, Prime Minister Burnham will quietly return to his life in London. There he won't see Moscow in his dreams, but he should do in his nightmares. From London to Paris. And according to this opinion piece in Nezavisima Gazeta, if Marine Le Pen becomes French president, that would be good news for Moscow. If Le Pen ran France, she could move this country from a military track to a peaceful path of development, from confrontation to mutually beneficial cooperation with Russia. But the question of whether she will succeed in becoming president remains open. And finally, to the joke section of Komsomolskaya Pravda. A detective was caught taking a bribe of 1.5 million rubles. His colleagues who detained him were irate. "He's lowering the market price, the devil." And this. At the exam to get into spy school, prospective student Pyotr Semyonov didn't answer a single question. As a result, he was accepted straight into year 2.